Hello and welcome. Have you ever wondered how people with Indian roots living all over the world keep that formal, lifelong connection to India? Well, a big part of the answer is something called the Overseas Citizen of India card, or OCI card. So today, we're going to break down exactly what this thing is, who can get one, and maybe most importantly, what it actually lets you do. Let's dive in. So think about it. How can you be, say, a full citizen of the United States or Canada or the UK, but still have this special lifelong key to India? That's the really unique puzzle the OCI card solves. Now, let's be super clear right from the start. This is not dual citizenship, but it is an incredibly powerful link for the Indian diaspora all around the world. All right, so here's our game plan. First up, we'll get straight to the point. What is an OCI card? Then we'll run through the eligibility checklist. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of your rights and, just as important, your limits. And we'll wrap up by looking at how you could actually lose your OCI status. Okay, Section 1, what is an OCI card? The subtitle here is perfect, a bridge, not a second passport. And that's really the best way to think about it. It's not another passport in your pocket. It's more like a permanent bridge that connects you back to India. So, the official definition is right here, and the key word, the really important word, is status. Notice it doesn't say citizenship. This isn't about becoming an Indian citizen all over again. It's a formal registration, kind of like a special recognition from the government that says, yes, you're an overseas citizen of India, and that status comes with a very specific set of rights. All right, next up, the eligibility checklist. Could you qualify? This is probably the question on a lot of your minds. So let's dive right into the details and see who actually makes the cut. To make this easier to understand, the law basically breaks it down into two main pathways to get there. The first route is all about your personal history, your ancestry. The second one is based on your direct family ties, either to an Indian citizen or to someone who's already an OCI cardholder. Okay, let's tackle pathway 1, ancestry. So you're probably in the clear if you yourself were an Indian citizen on or after January 26, 1950. It also counts if you were eligible to be a citizen back then. Or another one, if you belong to a territory that became part of India after August 15, 1947. And here's the really cool part. This eligibility can trickle down through generations. We're talking about your kids, your grandkids, and even your great-grandkids. Now for the second pathway, which is all about family ties. This one covers a few different situations. For instance, if you're a minor child and your parents qualify through that ancestry route we just talked about, or if you're a minor child and at least one of your parents is an Indian citizen. And there's also a path for spouses. If you're the foreign spouse of an Indian citizen or an OCI cardholder, you can qualify too. But there's a catch. The marriage has to have been going for at least 2 years. So looking at all those options, you might be thinking, wow, that seems pretty broad. But, and this is a big one, there's a really significant exclusion clause that we absolutely have to talk about. And here it is. This is the hard stop. The law is crystal clear on this. If you, or your parents, or your grandparents, or even your great-grandparents are or ever were citizens of Pakistan or Bangladesh, then you are not eligible for an OCI card. End of story. And it's worth noting the government can also add other countries to this list if they choose to. Okay, moving on to Section 3, your rights and limits, or what does the card actually do? This right here is probably the most important part of our entire chat today. Let's say you're eligible. You apply, you get the card. What does that actually mean for you? Don't get me wrong, the OCI card is powerful. It gives you a lot of the same perks an Indian citizen enjoys, like being able to live and work in India for as long as you want. But, and it's a really big but, there is a very clear line in the sand that separates an OCI cardholder from a full-blown Indian citizen. And this chart really lays it all out. On one side, you've got an Indian citizen with the whole shebang of political and constitutional rights. And on the other, the OCI cardholder. And look at those key exclusions. These are the big ones. You can't vote, you can't run for president or vice president, you don't have equality when it comes to government jobs. These are major differences. So, to really hammer this home, here's a list of the big exceptions. An OCI cardholder is specifically not entitled to these things. We're talking about equality of opportunity and public employment, running for president, being a judge in the Supreme Court or High Court, registering as a voter, or being a member of parliament. These core political rights are reserved exclusively for Indian citizens. That's the fundamental line. And that brings us to our last big topic, losing your OCI status. You know, a lot of people think of the card as being for life, and while it can be, it's not necessarily forever. It's really important to know that you can give it up, or in some cases, it can even be taken away. So let's just ask the question straight up. Can you actually lose your OCI status once you have it? And the answer is a very clear yes. The law lays out two completely different ways this can happen. The first is called renunciation. That's when you voluntarily give it up yourself. The second one, which is obviously a lot more serious, is cancellation. And that's when the government steps in and revokes it. Okay, so renunciation is pretty straightforward. You, as an adult cardholder, can just make a formal declaration saying, hey, I'm giving up this card. But you have to be aware of the domino effect here. If you renounce your card, any foreign origin spouse or minor children who got their OCI status because of you will automatically lose theirs too. Cancellation, on the other hand, that's a whole different ballgame. This is an action taken by the government, and it's only for really serious reasons. As you can see in this table, your OCI can be canceled if you got it through fraud, if you showed disloyalty to the Indian Constitution, or if you, say, helped an enemy of India during a war. It can also be canceled if you're sentenced to more than 2 years in jail shortly after getting the card. For national security reasons, or, and this is an interesting one, if the marriage that got you the card in the first place gets dissolved. But wait, before we get too alarmed by that list, there is a really, really vital piece of this law that provides a crucial safeguard. I'm going to read this quote directly because it's that important. Quote, "No order under this section shall be passed unless the overseas citizen of India cardholder has been given a reasonable opportunity of being heard." So what does that actually mean in plain English? It means there's due process. There's a legal safeguard built right in. Your OCI status can't just be yanked away out of the blue. You have a legal right to be heard, to present your case before any final decision is made. That's a huge deal. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. Number 1, the OCI card is like a lifelong visa, a fantastic bridge to India, but it is absolutely not dual citizenship. Number 2, eligibility comes down to Indian ancestry or certain family ties, but remember those major exclusions. Number 3, it gives you a ton of rights, but it specifically cuts off core political rights like voting. And finally, number 4, the status isn't set in stone. It can be given up voluntarily or canceled under very specific legal conditions. Which really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This OCI status, it creates this fascinating, unique identity, doesn't it? It's for someone who is deeply connected to their Indian heritage, but is politically and legally a citizen of a completely different country. So the question is, how does this delicate balance, this mix of incredible access and clear restrictions, really shape what it means to be part of the global Indian diaspora today? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.